4 steps how to break the anxious avoidant cycle. Promise you will walk away with practical tools to break the anxious avoidant cycle step by step so you can finally experience this secure, peaceful relationship you deserve. Make sure you stay until the end because I will be sharing my personal 4-step framework that has completely transformed my anxious attachment pattern, something that makes a difference on changing how you show up in your relationship with your avoidant partner. By the way, hi, I'm Yula. I'm the Anxiously Secure coach. Welcome to the Anxiously Secure podcast. Disclaimer, I'm not a therapist or doctor. This content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, or heal any mental health condition. If you're in an abusive relationship or dealing with severe mental health challenges, always seek professional advice. So what is this anxious trap actually? If you ever felt like constantly chasing after your partner only to have them then pull away, that is the anxious avoidant trap or cycle. While you crave closeness and reassurance, your partner, your avoidant attached partner, needs space. So the opposite. This push and pull dynamic leaves you both exhausted and frustrated, and you're both in this nervous system fight or flight state. Signs you might be trapped are you are the pursuer of connection where your partner retreats and pulls away. When they then withdraw from you, you feel very rejected and anxious, and you worry and overthink about possible future breakup scenarios where your partner withdraws more and more from you. You then attempt even more to get closer, which makes your partner feel even more suffocated. And the more you want connection, the more your partner wants space. The question is, why does it hook you in, this trap? Why is it so addictive? This cycle is incredibly addictive. When your partner occasionally comes closer and pulls you back, you get this dopamine hit, and it keeps you hooked in this chaser-runner dynamic. Meanwhile, your partner cycles between missing the connection somehow, but really wanting space and freedom and option and choice. Often it happens like the moment the anxious person is so done with the cycle and wants to say, you know what, I'm out, I'm going to break up. That is the moment the avoidant partner often thinks, okay, I can breathe again. They promise the world, promise everything's going to change, and then they're back in the cycle just a few weeks or months later. And it happened to me lots of times, to my clients as well, and here we go again. The pattern feels very familiar often because, it often mirrors your childhood experiences with this inconsistent care, this hot and cold dynamic. Your need for closeness activates your partner's fear of being trapped. So when they withdraw and pull away, this triggers your fear of abandonment or perceived abandonment. So let's talk about this hot and cold dynamic. This pattern plays out in 3 stages. First, you often chase. This can look like sending a text or asking for reassurance again. Asking, hey babe, are we okay? Do you still love me? How do I look? Are we good? Trying to get closer. Asking for date nights to just hang around and get closer and closer. So then they withdraw. That's the second stage. They withdraw. They feel suffocated. They feel overwhelmed. They just want to chill out after a long, hard working day. They just want to be on their phone. They just need some space to calm down a little bit. This is how they regulate their nervous system. So they create more distance. And then stage 3 is this crisis point where you both are so dysregulated. You feel completely abandoned, where your partner feels completely overwhelmed and trapped. So now take a deep breath if you're feeling right now dysregulated as well. It's okay, we've all been there. This dynamic is very, very common. Now that we understand what we're dealing with, let's talk about how we can break free from this cycle. Let's talk about 5 reasons why you alone can break the cycle. The myth that it takes 2 to tango keeps you stuck. Let's be honest, waiting for your partner to change is very dangerous, and it keeps you in this nothing's going to change cycle, puts you into the blame mindset, making you feel powerless, chasing after reassurance and reinforcing this cycle. It makes you believe like I have to wait for my partner for things to change. It's not me, it's my partner's fault. But there's the good news. You can break the cycle, and it just takes one partner to start breaking the cycle. And long term, it does take two people to make a relationship work. However, this cycle can be broken up by just one person. And I'm going to go into detail now why that is, why you have power as someone who has an anxious attachment style to break the cycle. So here are the reasons why you are in control. And the first reason is that you can control your triggers. So when you notice what triggers you can choose how you respond to your triggers instead of reacting to them automatically. For example, if your partner pulls away, instead of chasing and clinging and, wanting to spend all afternoon with him and 24/7, you can pause and check in with yourself and process your own emotions. Because if you feel calm, your partner can have their space as well to regulate their nervous system, and it already creates a whole new balance in the relationship, because this hot and cold dynamic, this push and pull, is all on the basis of you're both dysregulated and you're both triggering each other. The second reason is why you can interrupt the cycle is you can change how you seek reassurance, a huge trigger for your partner. Why they withdraw, why they often pull away. So when you are anxious, it's very easy to look to your partner to calm you. The saying goes, they're supposed to reassure us and make us feel safe and be our rock. But this often drives them away if they feel overwhelmed easily, if they struggle with vulnerability, with emotions, if they avoid touched, which is the case in this anxious avoidant cycle. So instead of sending them "where are you" texts and keep calling them and asking for reassurance and being very clingy and always being around them, how about reassure yourself? At least first. If you fill your bucket yourself, if you stop outsourcing your emotional need towards your partner and learn to reassure yourself, everything can change in your relationship. Self-soothing really builds confidence and reduces the pressure on your partner, changing the dynamic for the better. It also gives you the power to really know, hey, you know what? I can reassure myself. I don't need anyone else to feel good and safe. And it heals also your abandonment wound, which is reason number 3. You can rewire your beliefs about the fear of being abandoned. So if you fear abandonment, you might assume your partner will leave at any moment, or at least eventually. That was my fear all along. Even I didn't notice this until like a few years back when I was really more conscious in my relationship, how I showed up in relationships to my friends, to my partner, and I realized I had a fear of abandonment. And that was really ruling all my interactions, my thoughts, and my emotions, how I showed up in the world. And it made me feel like crap. Being under the emotion of fear is a very low vibration energy. You're very much on edge all the time, very hypervigilant, and it's not a nice place to be. So if you start learning to challenge your beliefs by asking, is that fear a fact, or is this really just my fear of people leaving me? It's the first place to really separate your thoughts from your fear. You can learn to become curious. Shifting your mindset helps you feel more secure both within yourself and in your relationship. The fourth reason why you have the power to break the anxious avoidant cycle or the trap is because you can stop overanalyzing and start trusting. Anxious thoughts can make you overthink every little thing, right? By choosing to trust your partner, even when things seem uncertain, you release the pressure and stop adding unnecessary stress to your relationship and to your everyday life. This makes space for calmer, more secure connections. And even more empowering is when you learn, you know what? I can trust myself. Even if my partner should fall in love with someone else, or even if I should change my mind, I don't know what the future holds in like 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. I can trust myself. I've got myself. I can pick myself up. I can learn to process my emotions better. I can create a stronger friendship circle that I have myself. I have a life I'm obsessed about. I'm so obsessed about myself. And by the way, if that's not the case right now, I can learn and build on this. At least I've got myself. I trust that everything will work itself out. And that is everything. Because we start overthinking when we don't have self-trust and faith. And reason 5 is why you have the power to break the anxious avoidant trap is You can own your emotions. Instead of reacting to your emotions with panic or fear, allow yourself to feel them and let them pass. By regulating yourself, you stop relying on your partner to do it for you. This reduces the chase and retreat cycle, helping you both feel more secure. And the bottom line is, it takes just one shift for you to begin to breaking this cycle. And it doesn't happen overnight, but if you apply these steps, you can break the cycle. While both partners have to do the work long term, your choice to heal and act from a place of security can really start the transformation for the both of you. And it happened for me too, when I showed up as my best version, when I regulated my emotions and expressed my needs from a healthy place. It created a ripple effect, and my partner showed up differently too. So you don't need to wait for them. The change really starts within you. So if you like help right now, I've got something for you. If you're especially struggling with texting anxiety, the panic when they don't reply, worrying about what they've texted or what they should have texted, I've got you covered. My mini course on Stop Obsessing Over Text in 21 days or less is still available now for incredible €27. It's a very limited time offer. This summer I will re-record everything and taking it down completely, because I will revamp it, re-record it to the point that you create a faster transformation, and then the price will go up. So if your piece disappears the second they don't reply, or you read too much into their thumbs up only reply, your partner's communication is not the problem. Your anxious brain is. You don't need another text from your partner. You don't need more reassurance from them. What you need is tools to break this obsessive habit with them. So check out the mini course for just €27 in the show notes or below the YouTube video description. So let's continue. The 4 steps how to break the anxious-avoidant trap is regulating your emotions first. Communication always comes after. So when your partner pulls away, your nervous system screams danger. Before sending an anxious text or engaging in any sabotaging behaviors, pause, breathe, process your emotions first. So when you notice your partner hasn't texted back in a few hours, instead of sending multiple messages asking where they're at, what they're doing, take a big deep breath. Go for a walk, journal about your feelings, and sit with your feelings and actually learn how to process them. Call maybe a friend, maybe shake off your body. Only when you feel calmer, you should reach out, and when you do, keep it light and don't accuse them of anything. Basically do the opposite of what you would usually do, because this disrupts the pattern. If you usually breathe very shallow, breathe very deeply. If you usually send multiple texts, don't send any text or just one short text. If you usually raise your voice and get very reactive, don't react at all. Slow down. This signals your nervous system that there's no danger. You don't have to act immediately, that you're safe, that nothing bad is going to happen. When you don't chase, you give both yourself and your partner space to reconnect naturally. Many of my clients are shocked to discover that when they stop pursuing, their partners often come naturally towards them again, because then they don't feel overwhelmed, they don't feel trapped, and they can actually build a connection based on a safe place. Because, funny enough, avoidant attachment don't feel safe when they're feeling like they are chased by a tiger. 2. Challenge your stories. Your anxious mind creates catastrophic stories like they're ignoring me because they don't care. Challenge these by asking, what else might be an explanation here of their behavior? What else is possibly going on for them? Is it a fact or a fear? What else could be true? Journal out 10 other reasons. What else could be going on here? Because our brain loves to think in black and white. They love to only focusing on the negative explanations and not leaving any room for any positive or even neutral explanations here. So you have to make room for positive and neutral explanations. And that's not positive thinking, it's just also giving room for all the gray areas in between. So for example, if your partner doesn't call you when they said they would, rather than assuming they're losing interest, they're not into me anymore, they're already on to their next adventure, they're not prioritizing me, I don't feel chosen, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of love, they never were into me, they're not in love with me, they're not committed. Consider maybe they're caught in traffic. Maybe they don't prioritize text communication as much as you do. Hint, hint, like my phone is usually always off, like at least everything else is muted. So maybe your partner mutes everything else and just checks in a few times on their phone. By the way, this is a great tip for anyone who's actually attached. If you're addicted to your phone, turn off your phone or all notifications at least, and only check in 3 times or 5 times a day. Because being addicted to your phone and communication is a very dangerous habit nowadays, and we can completely lose ourselves in that, and we're not even being present and living the moment. So maybe they're very busy and stressed at work. Could that be possible? Maybe their phone has died. Maybe they're out with friends and are actually having a great time and they don't want to be stuck and glued to their phone. Write down all alternative explanations on a piece of paper. Don't just do this in your head. Write this down. I beg of you. And then notice how your anxiety level drops. This mental reframing is very powerful because when you stop taking their distance personal and stop assuming the worst case scenarios, you free yourself from constant anxiety. One client told me once her entire relationship transformed when she stopped interpreting her partner's need for alone time as a sign of rejection. And in truth is, our brain can't tell the difference between what we imagine and what's actually happening. So if you always imagine the worst from your partner, this is exactly how you feel and how you experience their world. You make your partner up to be the enemy, who he's actually not. Because in truth, your partner is your partner and they are with you for a reason. Otherwise, they would break up with you unless they're extremely lazy. And the third step to break the anxious-avoidant cycle or the trap is meet your own needs. So you've been expecting your partner to fulfill your unmet need for safety, validation, like being seen and heard and valued, being chosen, and the need for connection and love, which it creates this enormously huge pressure, which is impossible to be fulfilled. It's not their job. They are not your caretaker, your therapist, or your parent. Your partner is not responsible for healing your childhood wounds. Your need for security has to be fulfilled by you first. Now, you have to step up becoming your own inner parent. That's called also inner parenting. And that's why inner child work is a thing, because you have to do this inner work, not your partner. Same thing for your partner when they have this need for space and autonomy and adventure and independence. You need to respect their boundaries as well. You can't keep crossing their boundaries and their needs and taking their needs personal and see it as a sign of rejection. You both have needs and values that are completely the opposite. And the more you realize, hey, you know what, we are opposite and we have opposite values and needs, but that's a beautiful thing. How can we both come together and make it work and find compromise and be our own versions of ourselves and support each other in what we both need and then come together in one relationship to make it work rather than fighting with each other and being caught up in this trap. So try this. Make a list of what you expect from your partner emotionally. For each item, ask yourself, how can I give this thing to myself? If you want to feel valued, how can you value yourself first? If you want to feel chosen, how can you make yourself feel chosen? If you want to feel more like a priority, how can you make yourself more like a priority? And that's also part of shadow work, which is actually the step 4. But before I go into there, when both partners take responsibility for their own emotional or physical needs, you can meet in the middle from this place of fullness rather than emptiness. You relate from choice rather than desperation. And the next step, the fourth step, is what we kind of touched on already on, is asking yourself some deeper question, which is part of shadow work. And here you can understand your triggers a little bit more. So what drives you crazy about your partner often mirrors our own unhealed wounds. So your relationship is a mirror. Your reaction to them being avoidant reflects your own insecurities about you being worthy of love. Ask yourself this: what specifically triggers your anxiety? Is it when they don't text you back quickly enough? When they don't want to spend time with you? When they don't express affection in a certain way? Trace these triggers back to your early experiences. Did you feel ignored by your mom or dad, by your caregivers? Did you have to work hard for love and attention? Understanding these connections can help you separate your past wounds from your present circumstances. One of my clients realized her panic when her partner wanted more space stemmed from her childhood experiences of being abandoned, by the way, it always does usually. And with this awareness, she was able to really respond to the present reality completely different and detached from her partner's reaction and her partner's needs, because now she was able to understand her pain doesn't come from her partner, her pain comes from the past. Now that you understand the practical steps how to break the cycle, let's talk about why this pattern is so hard to break. The answer lies really in our brain, as always. Your anxious attachment isn't a choice. It's wired into our nervous system from childhood. So when your partner pulls away, your brain perceives it as a survival, not just as a relationship issue. But that's actually the good news, because your brain is capable of change. Every time when you show up differently to a trigger, you show your brain, hey, you know what, this is safe. It's okay when I don't interact with my partner right now. It's okay to feel my emotions. I'm not going to die and I can survive this. And the more you show yourself it's safe, I can feel this emotion and nothing bad is going to happen, the more you rewire your nervous system as well, and the more you will be able to break out of this cycle. Let's talk about how to break this addiction of this chase. So the emotional highs when you're close to your partner, and then these lows when your partner withdraws, creates this roller coaster of feelings, right? It's up and down, up and down. Unpredictability releases dopamine in your brain, makes you crave more. This is like a similar rush from when you're gambling, for example, or when you're scrolling on social media on TikTok. But this is a very short-lived experience. You always feel empty afterwards, drained, exhausted, and when they pull away, you feel empty, and then you want more of it again. But how to break this addictive chase and withdrawal cycle? Let's talk about some action steps, what you can do here in this specific way. So first is you can create emotional space for yourself. So instead of constantly reaching out, give yourself space. Practice self-soothing with deep breathing, journaling, or meditation. Fill your cup with hobbies and interests that really bring you joy, so you're not dependent on your partner to meet all of your emotional needs. 2, stop seeking external validation. When you rely on your partner to validate you and your worth, this cycle deepens and you chase more and more dopamine from them. Build your self-esteem from within by celebrating your own accomplishments and creating a list of achievements you've done today and things you're proud of, like a list of gratitude journal. I, for example, talk out loud to myself during the day because I'm home alone, and when I don't just think positive and nice things to myself, but I also say them out loud to myself, I feel even better. So what are you going to do to validate yourself? This really breaks the dependency on your partner to this emotional fulfillment. And 3 is know your non-negotiables. Identify what you truly need from your partner to feel secure. Distinguish between what is generally important to you versus what is just like an anxious craving. Clear, healthy boundaries will reinforce your sense of self-worth and well-being. For example, when I message my partner throughout the day and he doesn't respond to me, it's not important because I know he's at work and he's busy. However, if I do message him, hey, it's important, can you message me back or can you call me back for a second? And if he then doesn't reply or call me back within, I don't know, 30 minutes, 1 hour, and it was actually important, that is more of an issue because I don't do this often. I only do this in emergencies or if it's quite important. Then it's more of a red flag. I only really call my partner during work time when it's really important, when it's an emergency. I will leave you with this. Your brain can change every time you choose a different response, like pausing before sending a text or practicing to self-soothe instead of demanding reassurance. You are rewiring your neural pathways. With new healthy responses, more secure responses, you become more secure. And your secure actions will become a default pattern, gradually replacing old anxious patterns. And breaking free from this pattern isn't just about being perfect, it's about progress, 1% every day. So you'll have setbacks, and that's completely okay. Each time you catch yourself falling into your old habits, just tell yourself it's okay, progress is made over time, and you have a chance to choose differently. And you don't need to wait for your partner to change. Your security comes from within you, and you have the power to change and break the cycle. And when you start healing your attachment wounds, your relationship will naturally improve as well, and it will impact every nervous system in your environment. The most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. When are you going to start transforming it? I guess you've started already because you're still listening, so thank you so much. Remember, change in a relationship starts with you, thought by thought, action by action, and now episode by episode. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.